Good afternoon. Welcome to Monday, February 9th, 2026, 1 p.m. meeting of the Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy Commission. The meeting is now called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Thank you, Chair. Members, please unmute for roll call. Commissioner Carter,
Present.
Commissioner Eisenberg,
Here.
Commissioner Gutierrez, absent. Commissioner Hershey,
Here.
Commissioner Ohabu,
Here.
Commissioner Orozco,
Here.
Commissioner Smith, absent. Commissioner Wallace,
Here.
Commissioner Winlock,
Here.
and Chair Lavulo.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
I'd like to remind members of the public in chambers that if you would like to speak on an agenda item, please turn in a speaker slip before the item begins. After the item is called, we will no longer accept speaker slips. You will have 2 minutes to speak once you are called on. We will now proceed to today's agenda. Please rise, if you're able, for the opening acknowledgments in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands.
To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwin Wintun peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous peoples, history, contribution, and lives. Thank you. United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the public who wish to speak on the consent calendar?
Thank you, Chair. There are no speakers for this item.
Thank you. Are there any commissioners who wish to speak on this item? Commissioner Wallace?
I will move that we approve the consent calendar.
I second.
Thank you. Commissioner Eisenberg?
So we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Wallace with a second by Commissioner Eisenberg.
Correct. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? The motion passes with opposition from Commissioner 0, no commissioners, and abstention from no commissioners as well. Motion passes. We'll now proceed to the discussion calendar, which is item number 3. The month programming in Sacramento file.
I can jump in here, Chair Lavulo. Jason Jong, Office of Arts and Culture. Today, our first discussion calendar item is a presentation by staff with California for the Arts. California for the Arts promotes the annual recognition of April as Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, otherwise known as ACCM. It is a month full of free events, resources, and advocacy opportunities across the state with the goal of engaging arts advocates and raising awareness of the impact of the arts within community. So last year, we partnered with California for the Arts, and they mounted the Arts and Culture Summit, followed by Arts Advocacy Day. And today we have Nefesha Israel, their lead staff person, who's here today to share details about this event and ways that the commission, if they are so inclined, can become involved in this really important opportunity to advocate for the arts in our region and across the state. Nefesha, welcome.
Thank you, Jason. Should I stand here, or I see the slide here?
Where the mics are, that
Okay.
would be great.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you to the commission for having me today. Again, my name is Nefeshi Israel. I'm the Director of Programs at California for the Arts, and we are a statewide arts advocacy organization. We can go to the next slide, and you can see a little bit more about our organization. And again, I'm here to talk about Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, which will happen throughout the entire month of April. Should I say next slide, or should I, click? I can use the clicker? Okay, wasn't sure if that was connected. Perfect. All right, so we have two organizations. They're kind of like sister organizations. So CA for the Arts is where we run all of our, house all of our programming that will happen statewide, or that does happen statewide. That includes our services and our advocacy trainings and networking. And then we have CA Arts Advocates, which is a 501c4, and it keeps our lobbying very separate. So just to give that framing for the organizations, and I'm here on behalf of CA for the Arts, which is our 501c3. And we have a great team of people from across the state. Just want to give some faces to names and some people you might come across if you go on our website or if you get email exchanges from our team. And really relatively smaller team for a lot of work that we do across the state. And we've updated, this is updated, but we've got a great board of individuals that support our work. And so we really appreciate them. They are located across the state as well, along with some people that you may see that are here in Sacramento, along with Megan Van Voris, Miss T, also who runs Studio T Arts Academy, and a few others that are located here in Sacramento. Our work is really grounded in our racial and cultural equity statement, and this is something that we spent the last few years working on our Vision 2030, and not just doing it by making a statement, but doing it in our actions and interrogating ourselves and interrogating the work that we do here at CA for the Arts. And so I just want to share that as a framing that we really do keep this at the forefront of our thoughts and of our programming. And a part of that will go into our Arts, Culture, and Creativity work, Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, which I'll also refer to as ACCM as the acronym. A lot of the work that we do with ACCM is figuring out how we can get people engaged in different cities across the state, but also create opportunity. So we have our summit that I'll share a little bit more about. I think that's going to be coming up. But in our summit, we do a call for proposals, and every year we get proposals from across the state, and we really take it serious to make sure that there's representation in our summit. And so that's an example of the work that we do. Along with the different logos that you see here, these are all of our programs. And so we do regional conversations. I won't read them all. One of the highlights that we really are proud of the work we're doing is our grassroots artist advocacy program, which started in the Bay Area, and we're looking at expanding it across the state, where we're teaching artists how to be advocates and how to work for civic engagement within their local communities. This is just a little bit about ACCM 2025 at a glance. Some of the things that I'll call out are we do Advocacy Day, which I'll get into a little bit more. We do Arts Champion Awards that we award legislators and champions within civic community that have been working and championing the arts around policy. And so we do 3 every year. Last year we had 500 plus attendees come from across the state, not only across the state, but even nationally. Some people came from New York, some people come from different states, some came from North Carolina, I think, last year. And so they come to Sacramento, and it's a great opportunity to bring people to the city, to see the beauty of the city, to get connected, and also get to know one another and the work that's happening within the state and also nationally. And we do a lot, we like to say that we're a communication organization also, so we're constantly reaching out through social media. It's a big part of our work. We have a communications team, and as you see, we share those numbers around our social media because it's how we communicate what's happening in legislature. It's how we communicate what's happening locally. For example, in Oakland, the cultural affairs position was a position that we really supported and advocated for alongside the community of Oakland, and that was just last year. And a lot of that happened through social media and through social engagement. This just shows representation. Here we can see Sacramento County was almost 21% of our representation at our summit and Arts Advocacy Day last year, and we want to continue to increase those numbers, being that it does happen right here in your city. And so we do that through different ways, including scholarships, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But here you can see we have a large number that comes from LA, of course, being that it is such a large city. But then we're trying to also build our numbers in more rural areas. And that's also a part of our racial and cultural equity work, looking at culture, even looking at rural areas and opportunities that may be missed. So even the outskirts of Sacramento, we're working on getting more people to come to the conference. So the summit is April 20th, and I know there's a lot of words up here, and I won't read everything. Hopefully, Jason, you can share this slide deck with the commission. There's some link outs also in the slide deck, but the summit is April 20th. This year, we don't have a slide for it, but this year we're doing our first year where we have 2 days of a summit. So we'll do a pre-summit convening. Stanford University will be coming, and they have a cultural policy fellows, and they'll be doing a session talking about cultural policy, talking about how artists can be involved in civic engagement and your local and statewide politics and be in political offices and involved in decision-making. And so they'll be doing that session. We'll also have a session focused on arts education, looking at the implementation of Prop 28. And then there will be 2 other sessions. One will be more of a closed session with our state local partners. And then we have the Creative Core artist. And that was Creative Core, many of you I'm sure are familiar with, but we're going to be doing some more further research around the artists that were involved in the Creative Core. So that will be April 19th with our pre-summit convening, and then the actual convening will be on April 20th. We do have scholarships for artists here in the city. If you are an artist or if you know artists, we'll be announcing that soon. We've got the city of Sacramento was able to support us with about $5,000 of scholarships that will cover upwards to 30 scholarships for artists. So getting that word out will be important. Artists and culture bearers that live within the city of Sacramento will have opportunity towards scholarship. So I'll share that information after this once we have it up online. It's not up just yet. We just finalized some of these things last week. So the scholarships will be available, and should have put my notes up here so I could see if there was anything else I need to mention with this slide, but I think I got everything. And the next thing, that we have a great keynote. One of our keynote speakers will be having a keynote conversation, but Dolores Huerta is going to be one of our keynote speakers. We're really excited about this. We're looking at looking backwards to look forward. So we're looking at Ms. Huerta's work around the United Farm Workers and the work that she did and has done. If you don't know, Ms. Huerta is about 95 years old. So she's been doing this work, I just heard her say this morning, since she was 26 years old. So we're looking at bringing in someone that can give that history and look at how the arts and culture have really shaped advocacy and how they're continuing to shape the future of California. And this is just kind of another recap. I'm going to quickly go through some of these because I don't think they're as important for this conversation. But we do work with and partner with a lot of organizations and individuals to do this summit. So with all of our media, we work with BAVAC, Bay Area Video Company, I believe, Coalition, there we go, it's up there. And we work with Arts Collab and Gordon Lim, who is a Sacramento-based videographer and photographer. So we've been able to partner with a lot of people and organizations to make this happen. It is something that we hold, but it's not necessarily, it's CA for the Arts project, but it is for the community, and we try to get as many people involved as possible. Then we have Arts Advocacy Day. That's the day after. This is a free event that, and actually let me backtrack real quick to give cost for the summit. The summit is not a free event. We do have free sessions happening on Sunday. So the Stanford session is free, thanks to Stanford, who is supporting. Everything will happen at the convention center, the Safe Credit Union Convention Center. And then on the summit day, we use the Memorial Auditorium as the beginning session, the plenary, and then we go over to the convention center for all of our breakouts. The summit itself, we're in the middle of early bird ticket sales. We've done really well. We opened up last week, and I think we've almost sold 100 tickets, and we're going to the 100 before we go to regular price. And right now, it's $325 for individuals. And then for artists and culture bearers, we give what would be a half off of the regular price. And so it comes down to $190 for artists and culture bearers. We use an honor system that people, if they identify as an artist, they can get that ticket price. And then we have member pricing. And once our early bird ticket prices are done, then we'll go to regular, and that cost is $375. So we're trying our best to keep it as affordable as possible. I go to a lot of conferences, and sometimes they're quite pricey. So trying our best to keep it equitable so that we can really have a diverse group of people present at the summit. Then Arts Advocacy Day is a free event happening on April 21st at Capitol Park. We start with a rally where we have speakers come from across the state to talk about the importance and impact of the arts. And then we have a parade where we all collectively head over to the legislative offices, and then we meet with our legislators by region. If any of you are interested in being a captain, we do have opportunity for that, and that's basically where you would lead your group, help organize a group of people to go speak with our local legislators. Last year, we had 350 advocate registrants, 231 check-ins, and we met with 95 legislators, and we had 60 captains, so that was great. We continue to increase every year. People show up, along with youth, show up for this day, which is exciting because I think it's important to have the voice of the youth, and we're working on even having youth involved in this, in the rally, so we can think about the future of the arts. I'm going to skip this one because these are kind of old policy priorities, but I will share that we are working on what we call 50 and 50. Since it's the CAC's, California Art Council's 50th anniversary, we're asking and working toward getting $50 million in the state budget. And right now, it was not in the governor's budget this past December. So we're hoping that we get that in for the May revise, and we've got a champion right now, so in legislature. So we'll see if we're able to increase the number to upwards toward 50. The other thing that we do is toolkits, and I'm almost done. So we do toolkits, and in these toolkits involve how people can get involved with Advocacy Day or with our summit, how to create a proclamation, get a proclamation passed, and we do how to get ready for Advocacy Day, especially if you're a captain. So those, this shows a little bit more about our toolkits, but those dates for the webinars on how to engage with our toolkits we have coming up. So these are our key dates here. We've got, some have passed already. For example, the organizers toolkit we did, actually I think the team, January 29th, we had our organizers toolkit. That webinar is available, so if you're interested in having an event in Sacramento, or you have something that's already being planned and you just want to market it as an ACCM event, which we're encouraging people to do to really get the word out that it's Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, then you can go in our toolkit, and we have a bunch of things to download, stickers, social media usage, and then we have a specific social media toolkit that will be promoted March 5th, and then you see the summit and advocacy date. So, and if you're interested in being a captain, that date has passed with that info session, but we have it as a webinar online on YouTube, and you can learn more about that. And this is just a little bit about our team. And I'll share this again, so if you need any of our email addresses, contact information, you can contact us with our emails. And I think that that's it. Definitely stay connected. Definitely subscribe to our newsletter, because that's where we get all of our information out to the public pretty much weekly. Our comms team is pretty on it, so it's pretty weekly that we're getting news out. And I think that that is everything that I have for you today. Is there space for questions, Jason, or Chair Luisa?
Yes, there are. Thank you so much for your presentation, Nefesha.
Thank you.
It was a great presentation. Any comments? Any public comments on this?
Thank you, Chair. There are no speakers for this item.
Thank you. We do have a comment. Vice Chair O'Hable? There is a public comment. Just a second.
We do have one speaker for this item, Lambert.
We just got back in town today, and the millennials who follow me heavily, and they told me I should come down here, because I'm a big fan of the Arts Commission, because of Megan's leadership, specifically at Grant High School, she's made sure that the drum line has always received money for lodging and travel and food. And that didn't happen until she came in there. It was always some excuse or something like that. These young people travel all over the world. Last year, they went to Ireland. A lot of people don't know about it. It hasn't been covered in the newspaper. Now, what the millennials wanted me to definitely get on record, and I want to get a card from this lady too, because that's impressive that it's across California. Speaking of California, our cheesecakes were featured at the Super Bowl, not at the game, but before. And according to the millennials, I go by what they say, and then I follow up and what does it mean? They claim that we went global. So I don't know what that means, but I know what happened down there. And I would like to talk to you away from here, because we have very creative ideas, and we manufacture in Southern California. We don't manufacture here. A lot of people think we manufacture in Sacramento. And because this is the fourth largest economy in the world, for those of you who don't know, you should be getting a lot of things accomplished here. The structural deficit is peculiar to me. That's a peculiar term when you're in business. That almost, I would consider that mismanagement, because there's no such thing as a structural deficit to me. I would get run out of town saying that to my family.
Thank you for your comments. Chair, there are no other speakers for this item.
Thank you. Vice Chair O'Hable?
Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate you coming in, and pleasure to meet you in person. Very excited for the Summit Advocacy Day. For the scholarships, do students qualify for them or just for artists?
For the scholarships, yes. If they are, we try to keep it for artists. Let me confirm that. I'm thinking if it's a student that is an artist, that could definitely work, but we want to create space for as many artists, and that's why we have the student price. But let me confirm that, and I'll send an email. Yeah, it's a good question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wallace?
Thank you, Chair. We've been doing this several years, and how many years has this?
This is our fourth summit.
Fourth summit, okay. And we've moved it now. It's getting bigger and bigger, so that's
Yes.
really exciting. In past years, there has been an effort to showcase the host city, which I realize we're always the host city. But are we doing anything to coordinate any programming with local artists?
So that's something that, given our capacity, limited capacity, it's something that we really have been leaning on our allies here in the city that we're connected with. And so we've been working with Visit Sacramento. The goal is to create a list of offerings that Sunday night, the night before the summit, because we won't be doing a mixer. Usually we do it at Harlow's, but because the date is a Monday of the summit, they have events at Harlow's on Sunday night. So we're trying to put together a package basically for summit attendees to know what's going on and how to get connected in the city. So it'll be more of a virtual offering. And the night of the summit will actually be California Arts Council's 50th anniversary. That will be happening at the Memorial Auditorium as well. So we're working to think about how we can offer summit attendees just different opportunities throughout the entire time that they're here. And I think it's going to be even a little bit bigger and broader because of that connection with the Arts Council.
Thank you.
That was, I thought I heard you say there's a Sunday. that
Yes.
it's- Which Sunday is that?
The 19th,
The 19th is the free day.
the free day.
And
There's a few free sessions during that
Okay.
time.
And then the 20th is a Monday, the 21st, the day after,
Yep.
is also part of the two-day summit, correct?
Right, Arts Advocacy Day is that Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've had to sort of keep it sort of separate, but we're trying to package it so people understand it's a 3-day experience.
Yeah.
But the Arts Advocacy Day has been tricky with going to legislators' offices, and so making sure that that's clear, that it's kind of a separate thing, but it's packaged within
That makes
the
sense.
3, yeah.
Are the legislative offices open on Sunday?
No, it's a Tuesday that we'll be there, and there'll be an office that week. Yeah.
Okay. Also, on your grants, can they be professional artists?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just, it can be any artist?
It can be any artist,
Okay.
yeah, we're not gonna, and like I said, it's an honor system, so it could be an artist or a crafter that identifies as an artist. We're not asking for detail, we're not asking for websites, we just, we're offering this. And last year, I think we did about 60 of those tickets, so it wasn't a whole lot, but people did take advantage of them.
Nice. And those $5,000 per artist scholarships?
Yes.
As long as they live within the city, they cannot live in West Sac?
Right, they have to live within the city, and it's $5,000 total, and it comes to, we're giving artists pricing, so it comes to upwards to 30 tickets, somewhere around 26 or so.
Nice.
And they have to live within the city. Yeah, that we do ask for addresses because it is city funds.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much, Nefesh.
Thank you, I appreciate you all.
Our next item on the discussion calendar is a presentation by City Clerk Mindy Cuppy.
So good afternoon. I'm Mindy Cuppy, your city clerk. Thank you, Jason, for inviting me to make this presentation. This is a presentation that I typically do when you start. Some of you commissioners have probably attended my Zoom trainings. I'm going to talk quick. It takes me about 17 minutes, but then I'll be available for questions at the end. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about Boards, Commission, Committee Handbook, City Code that governs boards and commissions, the Ralph M. Brown Act, which is California's sunshine laws, parliamentary procedure. We use Rosenberg's Rules of Order at the City of Sacramento, Council Rules of Procedure, the Public Records Act, Political Reform Act, and conflicts. I don't talk a lot about scope of your commission because I figure you signed up and you know what you got into. But I will ask our city attorney to chime in if I missed something or if he has some value adds. Again, I plug the board, commission, and committee handbook. That has a lot of great information. If you don't have time to read it all, look at the table of contents because you'll know where to go back to, but it is a great resource. You had to take an oath of office when you started. You have local ethics training, and you do need to renew that every 2 years. We will remind you. You needed to do a statement of economic interest. That's done upon appointment, annually, and when you leave office. We'll talk a little bit about a recusal or if you have a conflict of interest and disqualifications or removal. Typically, if you decide not to continue to attend meetings, we would probably reach out and ask you, what we need to do to get you back at the dais. If you don't do your trainings, your sexual harassment, your ethics training, that is good cause for removal. Okay. So most commissions are advisory to the city council, which this one is. There are a couple that are quasi-judicial, so Planning and Design Commission does make binding decisions. We do have complaint review bodies, so the Sacramento Ethics Commission is one of those. And then we do have appeals boards. So your commitment, I think this is a silly slide. It basically says, I need you to come to meetings. Let us know if you can't attend a meeting. As you know, if we don't think we're going to have a quorum, we reach out and we cancel the meeting so that half of you aren't driving down to downtown, taking your lunch break, and that we don't have a quorum so that we cannot conduct business. Avoiding unlawful meetings, there's ways you can inadvertently violate the Brown Act. If you hit reply all on an email, you'll notice any email you get from us is all BCC, so that if you accidentally hit reply all, you could inadvertently violate the Brown Act. If you replied, yes, I'll be at the meeting and I can't wait to see presentation number 3 because it's going to be great and I'm going to vote for yes, you would just violate the Brown Act. So that's why we do your blank copy on all emails. I mentioned the Sacramento Ethics Commission. I'm not going to go into this because you're not going to violate any of these things, but this is a complaint review body, and as an appointed official of the city, a complaint could be filed against you for any one of these things. So Sacramento City Code Chapter 2.40, I consider this the umbrella code over all boards and commissions. That talks about attendance, your training requirements, and so forth. And then your code itself goes into scope of your legislative body. So basically, this is what it says. It's the intent of the city council to assure that appointees for the positions on the city council, city boards, commissions possess high ethical standards. I won't read it all for you. So the Ralph M. Brown Act, I mentioned that. This is California's Sunshine Act. So basically it says everything has to be done in public. So that's why there's not email communications between you. Everything should be done at this dais. It states that everything has to be on an agenda and so forth. So some of those things the Brown Act does not cover, okay? Conferences, community meetings. If you wanted to attend the conference that you just heard about, you can attend that conference. I always say the default approach is be conscientious of what people see. So if you were at that conference, don't sit at the same table because people are going to think you're talking about commission business. And oftentimes it's a slippery slope. You'll hear something in the presentation, you'll go, oh my gosh, we should do that. That's great. And then you're conducting the commission's business in a non-public forum. Okay. So this is how you can inadvertently violate the Brown Act. So one way is a daisy chain, one is a spoken hub. The daisy chain is on top. So Green Lantern talks to Batman, Batman talks to Superman, Superman now talks to, is it Wonder Woman? And then she talks to the Flash. So now a quorum of that body has communicated with each other. Though they're not sitting around a table together, they are communicating in a chain. And then in the bottom example, one person talks to multiple people, and that is a way you could violate the Brown Act. You can do this by email, you can do this by text message, so forth. So I mentioned the Brown Act. Regular meeting agendas must be posted 72 hours in advance. The city of Sacramento has a sunshine ordinance which extends that to 120 hours in advance. Location has to be open to the public. Your agendas always have to have a brief description of the business. You can't take action on anything that's not on that agenda. For public comment for matters not on the agenda, commissioners can briefly respond to, but can't answer questions, in-depth questions, or engage in conversation. And the reason behind that is if it's not on an agenda, members of the public haven't driven down here to participate in that discussion, and you also aren't prepared to have that conversation if it's not an item on the agenda. So I mentioned you can briefly respond to. So I know the first time I made public comment for matters not on the agenda, I wanted everybody to talk to me, to answer my question, to solve my problem. But the council cannot do that, and you as commissioners cannot respond to. You could make brief comments. So for instance, we had someone ask about Mama Mark's Park and their splash pad. Well, the city manager knew that we were starting construction the next week, and so we can briefly share that information, but not engage in a conversation. We can't talk about the color of the water and the water features. We can just briefly respond. Okay. So the Brown Act states that member of the public has the opportunity to engage in conversations with this legislative body. So what does that mean? So any agenda item, they can speak on that. We can't restrict their criticism. So someone could stand at this lectern and tell you how much they hate the project. And criticism, if it's good or bad, we treat everybody exactly the same. So this legislative body can limit or further extend speakers' time. So 2 weeks ago, I had 132 speaker slips for one agenda item. So it would be reasonable to only have 1 minute instead of 2 minutes for each person. That's reasonable. You can do half an hour for people in support, half an hour for people in opposition, as long as it's consistently applied, and that's really the role of the chair to make sure that that's done, and your partner, your city clerk, will help you manage that. E-comments is a great tool. We use those. So I think it's, you can see those live. So I know council members do review those over the weekend to see what people are saying. And you can see what comments are being made, if people are in support of an item or not. And I think that's a great tool. I always encourage members of the public to do that. Members can speak 4 times, so on 4 agenda items, so a total of 8 minutes per meeting. So what happens if we violate the Brown Act? Well, we're not going to do that. Your city attorney will help you not do that. But typically there's some ways to remedy it. The aggrieved can say, you need to fix this. Voluntary resolution, oftentimes we've realized maybe something could have been a violation, and so we'll kind of do a do-over. We had this problem during COVID. We had a phone-in line, and that line went down, and it was during a public hearing for a project. And so we met with the attorney's office and said, I think we should just do this over again because members of the public did not have the opportunity to participate. So we just voluntarily did that. Of course, there could be a civil court action or criminal penalties also, but we're not going to do that. So I mentioned the city of Sacramento uses Rosenberg's Rules of Order for parliamentary procedure. One thing that talks about is a quorum. So a quorum is 1 more than half of the legislative body. Okay. The role of the chair is to make sure all voices are heard. So make sure that the public's voices are heard and then commissioners' voices are heard. I'm sure that the chair has done this, has said, Commissioner Mindy, you've spoken 6 times today, but I haven't heard from Commissioner Heather. So Heather, do you have any comments to make? So that's the role of the chair, to make sure all of those voices are heard. And some that they're not overheard, I say. The 3 basic motions are the basic motion is I make a motion to approve the staff recommendation. There could be a friendly amendment. So after you get your second, there could be a friendly amendment. So if the motion was I would like to order yellow pencils, another commissioner can say, can I make a friendly amendment? I propose we order yellow and blue pencils. If that is seconded, that one is then on the table. They kind of stack on top of each other. And then there could be a completely different motion. I make a motion to ignore the staff recommendation, and I want to do Sharpie markers instead of pencils. So that's a completely different, and you vote on the one that's on top. And your attorney will help you manage that. It's rare that we get a little crazy like that in commissions, right? So voting on motions, simple majority is more than half. So 1 more than half, I sometimes use my fingers. So there's a set number, you have to have a quorum to hold the meeting. But then if you have less, you have just your quorum, your voting thresholds could go down. And so I list them here. So if you have a commission of 7, your quorum is 4. If all 7 are present, you need 4 votes to pass. But if only 4 are present, you still have a quorum, so you can hold the meeting, but you need 1 more than half to pass anything. Typical is all those in favor say aye. The chair will look. The chair can ask for a roll call vote. It's not necessary, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But if you have a controversial item and you want to make sure that that everyone's voice is heard, you can do that, and the chair will work with the clerk. So an abstention is, I don't have an opinion, so you don't vote. And I'll encourage you to not do that because you're appointed to have an opinion. So if you're not sure, ask more questions. Would be my advice. You don't have to take that. A recusal is if you have a financial conflict, and my advice is always to call your attorney 2 days before the meeting, not don't walk over and ask that question during the meeting because it likely will be out of an abundance of caution, you probably shouldn't vote on this item. Okay, so if it's a tie vote, the motion does not pass. Again, this is one I think is silly. Hearing all voices is really the chairs helps us manage meetings like that. We should use courtesy and decorum. Debate and discussion is super healthy. I encourage that, but respectfully, right? If you all had the same opinion, we wouldn't be a real effective commission because we wouldn't be thinking of other viewpoints. So ask questions. And also, if you don't understand an issue, ask more questions. If staff uses acronyms, ask what that means, because if you don't understand, I'm sure that somebody that's watching online doesn't understand either. So let's see, council rules of procedure. So annually or as needed, the council adopts the rules of procedure, and those trickle down to all of our commissions. So you go by the same rules that our council does. Okay. It talks about duties of members, conduct of the public, meeting agendas, talks about the order of the agenda. If you notice, a council meeting has the same order as a commission meeting, and that's intentional so that members of the public know when to participate, how to participate. Talks about requests for future agenda items. So your agendas always have a section that's called comments, ideas, and questions. This would be the appropriate time for you to say, I would like to have a presentation on, I'd like Mindy to come back and do this presentation again. It was so fantastic, I want to hear it again. If it's under the scope of your commission, staff will invite me back to do it again. If you ask for a presentation on the police budget, staff is probably going to say, with all due respect, that's not under the scope of this commission, so we're not going to invite the budget office to make a presentation on the police budget. If it's a simple request for data, typically you'll get an email from staff the following day. Okay, Public Records Act. So as a member of the commission, I would say generally everything in the city is a record. And if you think about it that way, then we won't have any problems. So any email that's sent is a record. That does not mean if it's an email that's not under the scope of this commission. So for instance, if you emailed your council member and say, I don't like this project, and then someone requests that email, we provide it to them. If it has something, so let me give you an example. So it has to have to do with this commission. So if you're sitting at the dais and you send a text message, if you sent a text message to Jason and said, I don't understand, what's that acronym? That text message could be a record of the city that we would release. For commissioners, we don't have access to your emails nor your text messages, so we would reach out to you and say, I got a request for all the text messages between commissioners, between this person and this person. And we would say, do you have any text messages between you and Jason that has to do with the business of this commission? If you had texted him and said, hey, I'm just stopping for pizza on the way home, do you want to join me? That doesn't have anything to do with the commission's business, right? So you would not provide that. Okay. I always say if you don't want it on the front page of the B, don't put it in an email or a text message. Okay, so what is a record? Of course, the agenda, the speaker slips, those are all records. Of course, there are exceptions, attorney-client privilege. There's quite a few exceptions, but if you do send an email to a city staffer, it's likely we might have reviewed it. So, okay, Political Reform Act and conflicts. So my big takeaway is call your attorney. So it really means that there's a reasonable, foreseeable that a decision could have a material financial effect on you. So what could that be? Your partner owns a gallery, and you guys are making recommendations to the council about this gallery and should it receive funding or shouldn't it receive funding. It's possible that you could have a financial effect. So I always encourage you to call your attorney and say, this is what's going on, what do you think? 99% of the time, they're going to tell you, no, that's fine. But sometimes, I know with counsel, it's the perception that they might have a conflict, and they'll recuse themselves. Okay. So what if you have a conflict? Okay. Again, call your attorney, and don't do it at the dais. You can't lean over. He's going to tell you I can't opine on that right now. So if it's something on the consent calendar and you're recusing from it, you just need to state why you're recusing from it. If it's an agenda item, you have to state why you're recusing, and you have to leave the room until that agenda item is finished. So you can't sit in the audience, you have to leave, and then once that's done, you can. And then my final disclosure, call your attorney. Scope of your commission, like I said, I don't really go into scope very much, but I encourage you to look at the municipal code that covers your commission. It's in black and white and tells you what your role and responsibilities are. Okay. Again, I plug my commissioner handbook because I think it's pretty cool, and I wrote it, so please take a look. There's a lot of resources too. This is the back page of that commissioner handbook. So if I intrigued you talking about parliamentary procedure and you want to read more, that's a link to where you can go see that. And that concludes my presentation, but I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we do have one speaker for this item. Lambert?
This year, my family and the millennials, they will probably come to more commissions than I do because I'm a huge fan of Minty Cuppy because she was inside the chamber. She was sitting over there during the pandemic. Pandemic, 6 years old. I personally think she should be the highest paid. And I'm not saying it because she's sitting here, but all of the commissions I go to, I see her there. So when I see the Brown Act being told to you today, this is probably my 5th time hearing that same thing, and I always learn something new because I'm on a mission to find out how much this Brown Act is either not being violated or being violated. That's something that's a stickler for me. I've been on this mission a long time for that. But last week, an example of her work is she did have 100 and something speakers. And they gave them, I believe, 2 minutes. That thing lasted over 3 hours. And I know because I was in and out of the chamber. And that's when she earned that spot again because she was courteous to a lot of people that were very angry that night. I mean, they were angry. It was about ICE and all of that that's going on, and she handled it well. At the same time, we are on a serious mission this year, and what they accomplished down there during the Super Bowl was incredible. So that's why I say you may not see me as often, but you may hear some millennials come down here and say, hey, I'm here representing the cheesecake guy. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Chair, there are no other speakers on this item.
Thank you. Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you, Chair. I had a quick question for the clerk. There was a note in your presentation about having to make a recusal, and that would be treated as an absence. Is that an excused absence? That was my only.
Yeah, typically, if you're going to, the question was, a recusal, is that an absence for purposes of meeting attendance? No.
Okay, thank you. And then actually, just following up on the meeting attendance, how many meetings are we allowed to miss before we fall in arrears?
3? Ryan, I'm
We're
looking at you.
Such as.
Yeah, so the process, I believe it's 3 meetings. And then the process would be, I would reach out to your appointing or your recommending body. So most of the commissioners, if you're recommended by a district, so all commissioners, you're recommended by someone, the mayor appoints with concurrence of council. I know that's kind of makes sense, but so if you were recommended by a council office, I would reach out to that council member and say, your commissioners is getting near the 3 absences. Can you help? Sometimes they'll reach out and say, okay, what's going on? Do you have something? Is it not a good time for you to serve? And sometimes there's a reason why, if you had work issues and so forth. So typically that's the way it's handled. It's not an automatic dismissal. It's up to that recommending body.
Great, thank you.
To follow up on that, is that 3 in a term or 3 in a year?
3 in a calendar year?
Just had to clarify. I did have a few questions as you were presenting. The first one is, can the Brown Act be broken? Can you break the Brown Act by social media?
Yes.
platforms? Okay, so if I were to post something and then my commissioners also, our commissioners also commented underneath that, that could violate the Brown Act?
It could violate the Brown Act, yes. Because you're actually having a conversation, right?
Okay, and then my next question is if someone does oppose an item, is it discussed there? Or can it be discussed there, or is it just to be logged down that they opposed in the vote?
Is it a question in regards to the recusal?
No, for when a discussion item is given and we're supposed to call a vote on it, all of those in favor say aye, and if there's a no or a nay, can we discuss it there, or is it just logged?
Yeah, once you're at the voting point, the discussion is complete. So once a motion is made and you vote, that vote is then, and maybe Mr. Meyerhoff can say that more eloquently than me, but all the discussion, once you call the vote, we don't typically re-engage in conversation.
That makes sense. So if you do have something that you want to raise up to say, I oppose in that, you would do it during the comments of commissioner comments?
You could, or sometimes you'll hear council members say that when they make their comments, and they'll say, I'll be voting no on this item, or I'm in support of this item. Sometimes they'll do it that way. Otherwise, when you, all those in favor say aye, ayes, the noes, and then typically the chair would say unanimous with the exception of, Commissioner Winlock, who's voted no.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. And then my last question was, you said call your attorney. Can that attorney also be this guy?
yes,
Okay.
that is your attorney.
Okay, I'm like, our
Mr.
personal
Meyerhoff.
attorney? Or-
No, that would be the attorney that supports your commission.
Okay, perfect.
To confirm, if I could jump in, the preference would be to reach out to me first, and then I can connect you.
Okay. Thank you. Vice Chair O'Hable?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation. Just a quick question. If we do have a conflict and we have to physically exit, are we allowed to watch virtually?
You can watch, you just can't participate in the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Eisenberg?
Oh, hi. This is kind of a follow-up to the Instagram question from Chair Lavulo. What about reactions or reposts? I mean, I know this is getting into kind of silly nitty-gritty of Instagram, but I just want to know, like, something like if we have somebody saying, hey, there's an announcement for a specific project that the office is doing in their district, and you want to promote that, cross-promote it, can you repost, or is that considered kind of getting into conversation? Or if they're commenting on something that you're not going to say anything in the comments, but you give it a little heart or something.
Correct. That's a great question, and it's somewhat complex. So it's not a yes or no question. It really depends on, is this something that, are you forwarding something to someone who, about a company that's going to be asking for a grant later? Okay. So you could inadvertently make it so that you can't vote on an item later. So I just encourage you to be careful. If it seems like you're moving something forward, if you're just reposting something with really not an opinion, like an event that's going on. But where it can get dicey is in 6 months, they're then up for getting a recommendation from this commission on getting a grant. So that could be a problem. So does that somewhat help? And the law changes constantly because the platforms are changing constantly. So there's actually this recently here, it was more flexible to allow you to do more, but it's still kind of a slippery slope, I would.
Thank you. Any more comments? Thank you so much. All right, we will move on to the manager's report from Jason.
Thank you, Chair Lavulo. I just have a few items. I wanted to to thank folks who were able to come out to last week's Creative Economies in Action statewide engagement tour. This was a 3-hour evening event last Wednesday that addressed the state's first Creative Economy Strategic Plan. It was held at Memorial Hall, followed the next day by a virtual session for Sacramento, Yolo, Solano, El Dorado, and Alpine counties. For folks who were not able to attend, I do encourage you to check out the plan, and you can sign up for updates at the California Arts Council's website, creativeeconomy.arts.ca.gov, creativeeconomy.arts.ca.gov. This is an important plan that I think it was very heartening to see a good number of Sacramento folks turn out. I think we had about 90 to 100 folks in the room. Receiving information about the plan, updates from initial Creative Economy Work Group members, and working in small groups to discuss and dissect what's missing, what are some of the gaps of the plan, and how can it better represent the needs of the Sacramento arts and creative community. Wanted to just acknowledge that and encourage folks to sign up for updates. In Office of Arts and Culture news, Birds and Benches, the Mentor Artist Speaker Series began last week. I'm not going to go into too much detail on all of these items. In general, we're posting information about these activities that come out of our office through our newsletter, and you can sign up on our website, arts.cityofsacramento.org. And this is one of them, but this is a really exciting project in District 1. It's a 2-year public art project that will culminate in 2028 with 10 public art benches installed in North Natomas. The 8 benches at the park are funded through the city's 2% for public art ordinance, while 2 additional benches along the Jackrabbit Trail are sponsored by North Natomas Jibe. And so you can find out more information on our website, but also just be sure to sign up on our newsletter, and you can view when the upcoming discussions in the speaker series are going to happen. Also funded through the city's 2% for public art ordinance, our Art in Public Places program is managing a new public art project for the newly constructed North Sacramento Hagenwood Public Library. And this project will engage professional visual artists and artists teams working in all mediums. They're encouraged to apply by the submission deadline of March 23rd, 2026. The Artist Commission Award is in the amount of $100,000, and that includes all project costs. So you can sign up and register for an information session February 25th, 2026, from 5:30 to 6:30. And again, this information is generally pushed out at the top of every month in our newsletter. You can find out more about this project on our website, arts.cityofsacramento.org, and go to Public Art and Public Art Projects. We shared information about the Stockton Boulevard Plan Action Grant at our last commission. This is still a rolling opportunity, and you can likewise find out information about this opportunity on our website. And then we still have a opening for Council District 7, the Council District 7 seat on this body. And for anyone in the community interested in serving on this commission, I encourage them to check out our website and drill down to the commission pages, and you can find out information on how to apply. You do not need to be a resident of District 7 to represent that area, but you do have to be recommended by representatives from that office. And that is all I have to share. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jason. Are there any public comments? No public comments?
Public comments or commissioner comments?
public, and then Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. We do have two speakers for public comments. Our first speaker will be Jenna.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you so much for your time today. I am here as a citizen of Sacramento, and I am opening a new art space here in Midtown at 19th and V. We are called the Atelier, and the focus of the space, I have a flyer going around. You can check out our website and kind of see what the space will be doing. But I wanted to let you know about my motivations in creating this space. I have been working in the region for 8-9 years now with artists and arts organizations and also cross-sector partnerships, working with the city of Sacramento, the counties, and the County of Yolo as well, and cross-partnership agencies. And through this work, I have found not enough kind of creative third spaces for artists, and also the artists in the community have been coming to me, again, citing that there's not enough studio space or space to work and hold classes. So I am fortunate enough to be in a position to try to address these challenges for my community. So my goals here is to just support our artists here in the city by providing them space to create work and show work, even if they do not have access to a personal art studio. My goal is also to connect with our youth and our families through the arts. So we do have a program called the Play Atelier that is focused on arts development for our youngest under the age of 5, and then we have classes for homeschool students as well to help connect their arts engagement. And with that, I'm really excited to be opening. Tentatively, the second Saturday in March will be our opening date, but thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker will be Lambert.
Okay. I wanted to get on the record that the last time I was here, I brought up a very sore subject for me, and I went to the city council and told them as well. I had studied an auditor, great auditor. He's gone now, Jorge. He was wonderful. He found out about a no written agreement given to a company that's still receiving funding. You should really pay attention to that. That's a blow to a company that can't get a no written agreement. They said they couldn't audit it. How in the world can you not audit something if you wrote a check to a company? I'm a company. If the IRS needs to audit me, all they have to do is demand my records from the bank. A check was written from this city, and they said it went to the wrong entity. You should look into that, because that's going to be a nightmare for the city. Now, let me explain something very positive that happened. The millennials came to me and said, hey, we know you can't pay for a commercial, so we got an idea. I said, I'm listening. Look what they came up with. They said, we're going to take your website and make everybody we know link to it and ask 2 questions. Do you like the website? And would it inspire you to buy a cheesecake? That seems simple, but it blew up. I mean, it was wonderful. They were so proud too, because we didn't hardly have to pay any money. And it went all over California. So you won't see me that much, because we're going to sell a lot of cheesecakes. And we also released our mother's carrot cake this weekend, which took the show. So shout out to the millennials. I know they're listening. I'm getting ready to go have lunch with them. I'm so proud of them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Chair, there are no other speakers on this item.
Thank you. I apologize, we went a little bit out of order. It should have been comments for the commission that are ideas and questions. And so we'll start with Jeff. Commissioner Eisenberg?
Thanks. First, I just want to give shout outs to the Atelier for your efforts there. I think that's great. I think we're all supportive of that, and I can't wait to see the space in March. I also wanted to give a shout out to the office, and specifically Donald and Amy for the work they've been doing on the Hagerman Library project. They've been having to do a lot of work in the beginning of January on a lot of different things, and they made a real special effort to make sure sorry about that. Can I have just a minute more to make an announcement? Okay. And then lastly, former Commissioner Tan Blair at Neverboard, they've got a big show coming up from the Toy Room, from the archives, so Kim Scott's Toy Room, if some of you might be familiar. We've got works from over a dozen artists over 30 years of working with Toy Room. That's going to be February 21st at 5 to 7. That's 1518 Del Paso Boulevard. Check it out. There's going to be a bunch of punk bands and other kinds of bands afterwards. Should be a good show.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Haber?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to highlight a few events happening in District 3. Specifically, PBS KVIE have a few events. If you check out their website, kvie.org/events. One that I'd like to highlight is Judy Knott's Gallery. There's a reception that PBS KVIE is hosting on March 12th at 5 p.m. And then the gallery will be available from March 11th through May 4th. And then if you check out the website, you'll see a few more events happening throughout this spring. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wallace?
Thank you, Chair. I have a question that is maybe for our attorney and maybe for the follow-up log, but we had a constituent come and talk about the wages that are paid for event associates that are part of the Safe Credit Union complex. And there's been a question about, there's some sort of, the wages are under review, and we are being encouraged to support or advocate or at least ask questions about this. And so I'm wondering if we could get some more information about this issue. And then I don't think it's in our purview, but if we could get an opinion on whether or not there's anything that the commission can do to support this question.
Not prepared to address that right now.
It's in the e-comments for today, so if you want it, if it would help you be familiar for next time.
But you could put it on the follow-up log. That would be the mechanism.
Okay.
To see if it's even appropriate to discuss.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter?
I just want to let my fellows know that there is an art kickoff happening in Oak Park Brewery, February 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's the next Tuesday. 2 meals and 2 pints for a lovely fee. So February 17th from 6 to 8 p.m.
Chair, I'd like to add on to my prior comments. Sorry, when I say for the follow-up log, Commissioner, there's a procedure in the follow-up log item that discusses how an item can get placed there, and it includes things like linking how the proposed discussion item relates to like creative edge plan, cultural goals, and all that. So if you complete those, send it to Jason, then we could take a look at it potentially.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come. It does take a lot, but we appreciate your time. Everyone have a good day. Meeting's adjourned.